US citizens, you better listen to this because you have a horrible tax that's going to potentially come down the pike very soon. There are ways out, and I'm going to explain to you how, okay? But first, check this out. I have a ton of news to cover, okay? First off, we have, actually, I should note that Heidi wrote a great book not too long ago, and it's out. It's called Why Crypto. And in that book, she talks about why Know Your Customer, or AML, or KYC as you know it, is a scam. Well, there's probably a million reasons why it's a scam, but here's just another reason right here. National public data confirms hackers stole social security numbers of nearly all Americans. So what does that have to do with KYC? Well, keep in mind that you're giving your information to people that couldn't care less about your information. So if you want your private details spread around the world, then go ahead, root for KYC, go Sailor. Yeah, I know he loves regulations. I'm against that. I'm very much against that. I'm for privacy, and that is one of the reasons why I got into this space, and I like Monero as well. That's another thing. All right, but moving on, we have the Federal Reserve to cut rates three times by a total of 0.75% this year. This is according to Reuters polling. Now, as you know already, if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know that it doesn't matter whether they lower rates or whether they raise rates. The Federal Reserve is going to keep printing their currency. Plus, we rose from $15,500 to over $30,000 during times of rising rates. People just don't seem to remember that, which is kind of weird, but I'm here to tell you that because I'm here to educate you guys. Let's move on to the top inflation hedge of the world, or is it gold? Gold hit a record of $2,530. Now, before you think that is incredibly bullish, keep in mind that since 2011, gold hasn't even close to doubled. In fact, the price of gold back in 2011, where it had topped back in 2011, was $1,900. Now, what was the price of Bitcoin back then? Well, Bitcoin started out in 2011 at 30 cents, and it then proceeded to go to 73,500 or whatever dollars. If you had your money in gold, your opportunity cost was lost big time. So this is why I like Bitcoin instead of gold. You can hold gold, it's fine, but keep in mind that gold and silver are probably the most manipulated commodities on the face of the planet. All you have to do, don't take my word for it, go on Google, DuckDuckGo, and type in JP Morgan gold or silver manipulation or banks gold and silver manipulation. You'll see just ridiculous amount of articles on it. So I used to trade commodities when I was younger, and I just quit because I realized that these bankers are playing with hundreds to thousands of paper ounces to physical ounces. In other words, they can just manipulate the price at whim. Doesn't even matter. And also, here's a little history for you. There was actually something called the London Gold Fix. The London Gold Fix, where they actually fixed the price of gold, and that morphed into the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Metals Association. Go ahead and do your research. I'm not lying. There you go. There's your little rabbit hole. Okay, so moving on to the CPI, or what I call the CP lie, because it's more government garbage. They're just trying to force down your throats, expecting you to believe them. Okay, so as you know, CPI is government inflation, but they don't include food or fuel. So this is from Joe Colasari. He says, if you use CPI, for the inflation adjusted all-time high for Bitcoin is about $79,000. If you claim that actual inflation is double the official government CPI data, which it's easily double, the inflation adjusted all-time high for Bitcoin is around $92,000. So why are you daring to get bearish here? That's crazy to be bearish here. As I've been saying for a long time, we are in a full-on bull market, guys, and just ignored people that say that you're not. Okay, moving on, we have some scary news from Mt. Gox. We have 12,000 Bitcoin valued at $709 million. Went to a new address. This is from Mt. Gox, and so Mt. Gox still has 46,164 Bitcoin, which would be eaten up so fast if they really decided just to dump it, which they're not, because people are still going to hold those Bitcoin, especially people that were buying back then. Those are people that actually understand Bitcoin for the most part. People that are buying now are just very speculative. Back then, you didn't have anybody holding your hand. You didn't have crypto Twitter. You didn't have crypto YouTube or anything like that. These are people that actually read the white paper, actually understand money, and put their money where their mouth is. So I'd expect much of that is going to be kept by the buyers. Okay, moving on from this is a horrible thing that could potentially happen in the US, and I'm going to give you my thoughts at the end of this. This is Joey Manarino on Twitter. He says, Kamala Harris just endorsed a tax on unrealized capital gains. Keep in mind, I also did a tweet on this at Sir Crypto Tips. You should check that one out. But he says, in other words, if you buy Bitcoin at $50,000 and it goes up to $70,000, but you don't cash out that Bitcoin, you still owe a capital gains tax on the $20,000 capital gains. So in other words, you didn't make any money, but you still have to pay. Here's my thoughts on this. This is eventually going to get passed, because I keep hearing it over and over and over again, but they're just trying to get you warmed up to this idea. I don't care who becomes president, guys. This is going to pass. And when it does, I expect a lot of people to get rid of their US citizenship, because you know what? You're supposed to, we have one life here, and most people, you can bring them to so much of a pain threshold that they're going to be like, all right, you know what, I'm over this country. And that is what's going to happen eventually. But in the meantime, they're going to keep pushing this. They're going to keep showing you ideas of what they want to do. And eventually it's going to come down to, yeah, they're going to pass this unrealized capital gains tax. So what can you do? Well, if you have been following Heidi and I for a long time, we could see this back in 2017. Yes, we have foresight, a lot more foresight than probably a lot of people in this space. We could see where the crypto space was headed. We could see where the United States was headed. This is before the United States kicked out Binance.com and only allowed Binance.us. We could see this happening way before that. They were going to start hammering down on exchanges and so forth, and making people's lives miserable in the crypto space. And that's going to continue, in my opinion. What you could do, a solution, is you can start exploring your options with second citizenships first, okay? So with all the money that you might be making during this bull run, if you're following us at learningcrypto.com, you will know exactly what we're doing with our money. Once you start making those profits, and before you buy that fancy car, fancy watch, whatever, I would really suggest you getting that second citizenship, especially if you are a US citizen. And also, if you want a free option, you can also get it through Ancestry or holding a residency. Like for instance, me, I got my German citizenship through my grandparents who fled Nazi Germany. And Heidi and I bought a St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship, which is a great small little country in the Caribbean, which I've actually never been to the country I am holding a citizenship of, but it allows a lot of freedoms, and you couldn't even pay taxes to them, even if you wanted to. That's the type of freedom I'm talking about. Anyways, if you like this, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon.